Yo, today we'll be breaking down my song Left Hand Suzuki Method featuring Young Trunks.
Woke up like what I feel like making today. Post up like what I feel like taking today.
If you haven't heard the song yet, it's on all platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, SoundCloud, and so on. I suggest you go listen to the song before, that way in case you have any questions about a certain sound, maybe this video will answer it. And if you have heard it, the song will just go a little bit deeper into some of the sounds, and then you can go check it out after and see some of the nuances and things that maybe you didn't notice the first time. Per usual, the song's produced by Pink Onyx, the producer that I get to work with, and myself. So when I got the beat initially, I did run a quick demo of a verse I had thought of. This was again 3 years ago, so I sounded much different then. It sounded like this.
Spoke up, oh, pissed it just like Haiti today. Ever since I showed up pretty shit, just ain't been the same. Okay, PTSD from the DM. Where your man at? I don't see him. Got.
So the original idea I had for the song really just had that verse on it and nothing else. I remember sending it to Young Trunks and Nick Midnight to see if they could think of anything, but since I didn't really have anything substantial on the song, we didn't really get very far. And I remember not liking really what I had, so I ended up shelving that song for a while until I came up with some new ideas. The song is pretty close to 4 minutes long, so keeping people's attentions was something that I had in mind from the start. So I put a lot of emphasis into the songwriting and the structure and the transitions. What you're gonna notice is that the beat itself is pretty basic, but with all the transitions and fills and sounds that we put in, it turns into something else entirely that keeps people's attention and kind of keeps you guessing throughout the song. We're gonna go ahead and start with the drums. The first drum sound that you're gonna hear is this kind of quirky, crunchy drum sound that Onyx made that I really liked and really attracted me to this beat. It has more snares and silences, if that makes sense. And so it kind of has this like pop and bounce to it that I really like. It sounds like this. So that's an auxiliary drum sound we use throughout the song, but it's not the core drums. So the main drum sound's pretty basic. It just has a hat, a kick, and a snare. It's pretty basic, but this is what the song needed, so that's what we went with. Here's what the hats and the snare sound like. And then we add in the kicks. So yeah, it's a pretty cool groove, super simple. Something that I'm leaning more towards as far as drums go is keeping the drums similar to what a drummer could do on an actual drum set. So there's not a ton of hi-hat rolls or glitches that kind of come through in the drums. We keep the drums pretty simple, pretty consistent, and then we add in flourishes and glitches and things and sound effects throughout the rest of the song just to fill in that space, but still keeping that core drum sound a little more drummer friendly. Those are the drums for a majority of the song. Pretty basic, but it's what serves the song the best, so we kept it that way. I'll get into the drums for the outro later on. The next crucial part of the song is the bass line. When Onyx sent me the beat, the drums and the bass line were as is, so I just told him not to touch them because I loved how they were. When it comes to straight up bass lines, I tend to lean towards like bass should be felt and not heard, but luckily this bass line here kind of strikes a perfect balance of both, and it kind of just gave me this energy of like the gorillas that I really liked. It sounds like this. The song's pretty bare bones. Outside of the drums, bass, and some glitches that we have, there's not really a lot of sounds. One of the only sounds on this song is this sonar scanner glitchy kind of thing that Onyx made when we were remaking the beat. I remember Onyx and I were working on a song and I think they just hit like a button wrong, and this sound came out and I was like, stop everything we're doing, put that in the song, we'll get back to whatever we were doing. But it's super cool. It has an octave up and an octave down version, and it sounds like this. That sound is super cool to me. It's definitely one of my favorite sounds within the song. Like I said before, keeping the listener's attention throughout the song was going to be a challenge just because of how long it is. So when it came time for the second hook, I asked Onyx if we could do something a little bit different for the second hook, just add some more spice to it, you know? Since the bass line's pretty established throughout the rest of the song and the hook, we just tried to fuck this up as much as possible. So you're going to hear a bunch of distortion, big crush, phaser, and all kinds of effects on this. So here's the bass line for the second hook. It sounds like this. Similar to Isekai, we use a lot of drum fills to do some of the transition work. And what I like about this is that the drums have delay on them, and it kind of gives them the effect of having a riser and a crash in one. It kind of sounds like the drums come in and scurry away. It sounds really cool. It sounds like this. Usually when I collaborate with somebody, I ask them for something different than they normally do, or to just push the envelope a little further on what they do already. But when it comes to my music, it's a little safer to experiment, so I always recommend that people experiment when they do a feature or some kind of collaboration with me. Just because it kind of brings out a performance that you wouldn't normally expect. The feature on the song is my good friend Young Trunks. He handles the second verse of this song.
But that's just the appetizer though. I want all the smoke. Ego's more fragile than mama's China hoe. Boy, you Drake's vagina though.
I just want to make note that he produced his vocals for this song by himself before he sent them to me. So all that pitch shifting and modulation and morphing and things like that was done by him, and he sent it over to me, and we just threw it on the song because it sounded great as it is. He also added that gunshot and scream that you hear in the middle of his verse. So I just want to give credit where credit is due. Trunks made the song a big part of what it is, and he added a lot of value. He didn't just phone it in and just throw a rap verse on it. He really went into it with a concept and an idea, and it came out super cool, perfect for the song, and I love it a lot. That's about the first 2/3 of the song. Now we're gonna get into the beat switch. I had the idea for the beat switch because the beginning of the song is pretty frustrated and pretty angsty, but I didn't want to leave the listener feeling like they just sat through a big complaint. I wanted to leave on a hopeful note, so we added this to the end. Like I said before, using drum fills to transition from part to part is something we do a lot, and that's just a transition that comes from our rock influence. And this is how we got away with the beat switch pretty smoothly, I think. It sounds like this. The backbone to this ending is this respace that we created. This was like my first time actually using a respace, so I had Onyx pick this up. It sounds like this. The first half of the song doesn't have a lot of sounds in it, so I knew I wanted to bring in a lot of melody here just to kind of open the song up and bring more color. So I added this distorted flute. I really like distorting instruments that aren't normally distorted, especially the older the instrument, better. It sounds like this. Along with the distorted flute coming in, we drop into the drums as well. These drums are just a variation of what we have in the beginning part of the song, so it kind of glues this part together. It has a false drop at the beginning, and then the snare and the hi-hats come in, so it sounds like this. My number one favorite sound in the song shows up here at the end. It just sounds like two giant pieces of metal being scraped together. It's super, super abrasive. Onyx made it out of some drums, and it sounds like this. That's my favorite sound in the entire song. It just reminds me of some like Sophie stuff. It's just really abrasive. It just sounds like it's in your face. It's super loud. Hurts my ears a little bit, but I just love it. That wraps up about 99% of the song. What you hear at the end, the little lo-fi part, is actually a phone recording where I was demoing out the song before we had actually gotten to write it. I wrote it on my acoustic guitar and recorded it on my phone one day last year when my cousin was visiting. Since the song cycles through a lot of emotions and ups and downs, I wanted to end on a calmer, prettier note, and this kind of gave that emotional resonance that I was looking for, so I added it to the end of the song. It's turned out pretty cool. Sounds like this.
Safe bet, probably not purely chemical. Playing dead says a lot, not a centerfold. Came and went, ready, not let it go. No.
Alright, and that wraps up Left Hand Suzuki Method featuring Young Trunks, produced by Pink Onyx. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to me if you haven't yet. I have more songs coming out. I have more videos coming out. You can also follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. I'll leave that all in the description. Left Hand Suzuki Method's out now. Go check it out, and I'll see you guys at the next one. Peace.
Talent and paranoia, social skills that I'm void of. Slave to my Motorola, class coma, craft over quota. It's mad to have a habit that lack impact on your planet. Dodging the problematics like ducking the automatic.